And my guest for the day is the lovely Elisa Davis Esquire. Hello, cousin. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well today. I'm very pleased to be here.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to share with you guys that I have my very first sponsor for my YouTube channel, Iconic Creations. And I will spell that for you because it's a little different. It's Iconic Creations. It's CRE, the number eight, TIONS. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. Every piece is handmade, every piece is a one of a kind, just like you. Thanks. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Ranch and Stilettos presents Cocktails and Conversations. Hello, cousin. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well today. I'm very pleased to be here. Honored to be one of your guests.
Thank you. And I thought I'd just put that out up front for full disclosure. Not only are you a dear, sweet friend, but happen to be family. And I
Yes,
just want
indeed.
to extend a toast to you and thank you for joining this show. And I know we're going to have a great conversation.
My pleasure.
We have been through a lot as a family. This 2025, man, what's going
Yeah,
on?
yeah.
I
It's
think I shared I'd been to at least one funeral every month in 2025, starting in January. And I mean, the
wow.
kind of close relationships that, I am in a process of figuring out how to live and put one foot in front of the other and move on. I
Mm,
know you two have suffered great loss this year. In fact,
yes,
losing both of your parents in the same year. My
yes.
condolences
Six.
to all of us.
Thank you. 6 months apart to the day. I do say one of the things that brings me some solace is knowing that it is normal.
Yeah, yeah,
It is absolutely normal. If I didn't experience this, then something would be out of order, right?
yeah,
That would
yeah,
mean that
yeah,
if I didn't experience the loss of my parents, that they would have experienced the loss of me.
yeah,
And
exactly.
that's out of order.
That's out of order. Yeah,
It's out of
that's
order.
true. That's true. Question. We often talk
Yes.
about grief only in the context of death, right? But loss shows up in many ways. What was the first loss in your life that truly changed you and made you realize grief isn't one dimensional?
I would say there were two events. One that wasn't really, you know, conscious of the at the time in terms of its impact on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, later in life, when I was more mature, I can speak to that loss. But the earliest loss was the loss of our home. I was, I think, around 4 years old, and
Okay, okay.
that's a place of security, stability,
Mm-hmm.
and we had to go live with another family, and it was very sudden for my mother, my brother, and myself. My father, of course, was aware because my mother was home and not working at the time. She had decided to stay home after I was born in hopes that this would make my father be more responsible. She didn't know until the truck pulled up in the driveway that we were not going to be living there anymore.
Oh my God, that's
So
heartbreaking.
yeah, so we had to go find some friends took us in for a short time. And I will say also my earliest memory is of being kicked out of this little girl's bed onto the floor. I had to share, she had to share her bed with me, and
Right.
she did not like that.
Oh.
um and shortly thereafter we started staying with my father's parents. Um so that was
What was the
the earliest.
what's the long-term impact of that for you?
I think it's a lack of stability around home, or a sense of stability around home. Even though I have owned my own place since I graduated from law school,
Mm-hmm.
but I haven't invested a lot in my home. I've always kind of made do. I have no sense of interior design whatsoever. The things, a lot of the things that have the special touches are things that my mother did in my
She's
home
amazing,
or
amazing
brought
decorator.
to my home. And I feel like, and it was always really important to me to have a very, very manageable mortgage.
Right,
My
right,
best friend lives in LA, and there's no world in which I would pay $3,000 a month for a home.
right,
Doesn't matter that I'm a
right.
corporate attorney. Could never. I would never, because what if something happened? What if I
The
lost my
pressure that
job?
it puts on you,
I
right,
have to be able
financially. Hmm.
have to be able to pay my mortgage because I don't want to experience that kind of loss again.
Yeah. And you talk about, not really putting into your house and like investing in decor and that kind of thing. Has that changed for you now at this point in your life?
I think yes, and I should say it's decent, but I know that I could do more. So I did reach out to an interior designer a couple years ago. So I had done some work in my entryway and with paints and all of that. So there's still more that I want to do. I mean, I'm living in a house that I rehabbed with my first husband,
Mhm.
but I didn't really have a lot of input. I was like, I really didn't care. I really didn't have, it's not so much that I didn't care. I didn't have my own opinion to provide, right?
Right.
I wanted a clawfoot tub. That was the one thing I wanted
Okay.
in the house because I wanted to be able to relax, right? To
Yeah.
take a bath and relax. But yes, over the past few years, I've reached out and gotten some help because I definitely need help. Because I don't like have a strong sense of what I like. But if you show me something, I'll be able to say I don't like that or I do like that.
So
You
you
know.
said there were two things. What's the other thing that impacted you?
The other thing that impacted me also centers around my father and his choices. He
Mm.
had asked me to work for him one summer, and I was a teenager, and I already had the opportunity to work a summer job that I had previously worked, which was caring for my god sister. She was cared for her first summer when she was an infant, so now she's a toddler, and that was guaranteed income, and at I guess 15 years old, that meant something to me. But of course, my father meant something to me also, so I agreed to work for him, and he wrote me checks that bounced.
Oh my goodness.
So of course, he knew they were going to bounce. He could have
But he didn't
said,
he didn't communicate that.
he
He just
didn't know. No, he could have said, hold that. Don't deposit it,
right.
right? But he did not say that. I instead had to experience the embarrassment of having an account that was overdrawn. I
Mhm.
had to experience the financial impact of, charge or having accounts that were or checks that had to be that weren't honored. So, it was not a great experience. And again, it just made me feel like I could not trust. So it was a sense of loss around trusting.
How do you feel about the grief process when it's a relationship? We've both been married, we've both been
Hmm.
divorced. I've been through really what felt like when I got divorced, a death, and
Hmm.
while it was not what I wanted, I knew it was the next best step for everybody. So
Yeah.
the pain was like, first of all, as someone who is basically trying to fashion a life that is something I can be proud of and move forward with, that
Hmm.
set me back. It set me back. So talk to me about how you process that.
Well, first of all, I feel like as long as I have done everything I could, everything within my power, first I needed to be able to get to a point that I could say that when, walking away. And then, of course, being able to look at my children and honestly tell them that I did everything within my power,
Yes.
right? And after that, I honestly believe in this principle. Whatever you don't forgive, you attach to yourself for the rest of your life.
That is so
So,
true. That is so, so true. And
yeah.
in my experience, I remember the day, it's just like the light bulb comes on. The day that God says to me, why are you just focusing on one way to love? There's
Mm,
love out there. You can reach out. There's so many ways. Agape love is for you.
hmm
And I
hmm
started focusing on other ways that I could share this big old juicy heart that God gave me with the
hmm
rest of the world.
Yeah,
And it just, my attitude changed and my outcome changed. And I lightened
yeah.
up and put one foot in front of the other. And now, I can inspire somebody else by sharing my story.
hmm
It's not like
Yeah,
I'm the first person to ever go through the loss of a marriage.
right. Right. And fortunately, I always had my career
Yep,
too.
yep,
And it
true.
it is really important to me to feel like I am making progress somewhere, right?
That's
So
right.
when I wasn't making progress at home in my relationship, I at least had work where things were moving forward, where I was being recognized for my contribution, right? Where my ratings were high, my performance reviews, the opportunities to participate in different things, different conferences, training programs, things like that were always there. And I always had my core group of girlfriends as well. And of course,
Right,
my children.
right.
So,
Who
you
are
know, I
amazing, I'm happy to say.
thank you. And, I have my faith. So I know that I'm blessed. I know I have a lot of things to be thankful for. And I do believe that whatever you dwell on will grow. So I try, I don't think I'm suppressing things and pushing them down. I'm accepting the
Right, right,
situation.
right.
I'm releasing
Yep.
the situation. I am thanking God for what I have. I'm thanking God for when removed from my life. And, I am thanking him for just bringing me through and trusting that, there's more in the future. I talk about my dad. That man married three wonderful women,
Oh,
three
wonderful.
wonderful women.
Yep, yep.
And if that joker can find,
Okay,
love at 80, his third marriage was at 80.
okay. And this
But
was
they say,
the
God, I see what you've done for others.
this was the one in Rhode Island, right? The wife in Rhode Island. Yeah,
Yeah,
who was
yeah,
really such a great support for all of you guys
yes.
toward the end of his
She's
life.
a lovely, lovely woman. She's
Yep.
a lovely woman. Yes, and was a wonderful support to him. I mean, went to see him every day that she was able in the nursing home.
Yeah.
He had love. And
Yeah.
so I know it's possible.
And because you love him, I can see the light on your face. It's just to
Mhm.
know you perk up when you
Yeah.
talk about the fact that he had that kind of love in his life, especially toward the end of his life. And
Yes.
obviously, you guys were going in and out as you could to spend time with him as well.
hmm Yes. Yes.
So let's talk about the amazing Cora Elizabeth
Yeah.
Bowie Davis. So
Yeah.
Cora not only was my cousin, but as you know, one of my most amazing mentors. And the thing that I cherish about that relationship, first of all, as she became ill and we knew about it, we really kind of referred to ourselves as love givers instead of caregivers. But
Mm.
how does it make you feel to know that your mom was so loved that people were actually vying to be her caregiver? We were like, did I make the list? Oh my God, okay, I'm going. This is fantastic. And to be with her even during that time for me was really cathartic. I literally felt like I was there to help her, Elisa. I got so much
hmm
out of that time. And I
Yeah.
still am just so, so grateful that I was able to be there with her, help her, and watch this elegant woman show me how to live even toward the end, which I couldn't accept it. I didn't know it. I didn't believe it. We were just moving forward like as she gets better, this will happen, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How does it feel to see everybody rally to her like that? You know your mama.
Yeah. It was wonderful to see. Just when I would visit her when she was healthy and see the way people rallied around her. I would say she does have a daughter. I just, want to
Yes.
remind you that she does have a daughter. I am here. I am
Yes.
real. I know you love her, but she belongs to me.
And you're basically a
Um, you know,
twin, so
well, just anytime I was in, when I went to visit her and we went anywhere, people just gravitated towards her and they were very effusive around her. So, as you may know, one of her earliest memories is a challenging one. She did her a write up of her kind of life story. And I believe it's in there where she says she was like 18 months old. Her mother would have to go to teach, and she would be left in her playpen alone,
mm,
crying.
mm.
And, my mother was a very stoic person and someone who
Yep,
didn't cry in
yep,
her
that's true.
adult years. And she came to realize that crying was pointless because nobody was coming.
Wow,
So
wow.
I said to her on one of my visits,
Mm,
I said, now you can see that someone is coming. I
somebody's
said,
coming.
everyone is coming.
Yes,
Everyone is coming.
yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, ouch, ouch, ouch. And the fact that she even remembers it, the things that we remember
18 months old. It's
that
unusual
it
to
impacted her.
remember something before the age of 3.
Yeah, I
That's
do
unusual.
but I do remember things from when I was less than two as well.
Uh-huh.
One of the things that I recall was just we just moved into our house that my parents built. And back in the day, they had those gas jets all around. And I just
Hmm.
saw them and I went throughout the house turning them on. And that's the
Oh,
first
oh.
time I remember my father spanking me. And he basically took me to each one like a little dog,
Mhm.
like this, the right here. No, no, no,
Yeah.
you're never touching that. To this
Yeah.
day, I can smell gas from a mile away. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
like,
bet.
you know what? I'm traumatized by the smell of gas. Okay, so no. But
But memories are also tied to the sense of smell, so that makes
yes,
sense.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
we know that, that generation, they basically grew up out in the country with little
Hmm.
means, they made a life for themselves. But this
Yeah.
lady rose to the top of corporate America in the whole America.
Yeah.
And just to imagine all the
Yeah.
travel that she did with her work. And we got a chance to see this happening as a role model, have access to her. And I
Hmm.
can just recall the times that I would have questions around work and how to handle things or, creativity even and how to, move forward with a dream. And her
Hmm.
take on it was one step at a time, just go, start, and if you
Yeah.
fail, you make a mistake, then we try a different way, a different approach. And I am still that way. I don't look at things as failure. I look at them as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to improve. At the point that you first got the diagnosis about your mom, what was your
Hmm.
take on it other than we're going to beat this, everybody I think went into warrior mode.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I had never heard of esophageal cancer.
Mhm.
I had never even heard of it. It was certainly heard of various types of cancer that have touched our family,
Yeah.
and others close to us. So I was really shocked because she had been so healthy into her early 80s. She was still walking 3 miles a day,
She wasn't on
and
medicine or anything, was she?
no medications
Yeah,
whatsoever.
yeah.
And she was getting ready, I think, to go to probably a regional conference for Alpha Kappa Alpha.
Hmm.
And I asked her if she was still going to go, and she was like, no. But it was almost as if she needed permission to stop, to slow down, because she just always
Right,
was on the go.
right.
So I do think she, took it seriously enough to stop and to take care of herself.
Put herself first.
Um,
Yep.
but I certainly, I believed that she was going to beat it. I never, ever thought that a year later we would be burying her. Never thought that.
And
Never thought that.
to be at her service was just so moving and so emotional. The tributes that were there, and after the service, I just was kind of numb. And I just remember thinking, how do we honor someone this special? And the thought that came to me was, we got to pull up. If
Yeah.
nothing else, she taught us be the best version of yourself. Never give up, keep pushing. And I'm looking in a room of people who I met that day, and I felt so, so, so connected to them because of her.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were there with her and going through that process, as things, it got more and more serious. Elisa, what did you do? Did you spring into your role as, caregiver, executor, all of those things? Because I don't think she had a plan about the end of her life at that point, but I do know her well enough to know that she was going to put things in place, and you were there to help her with.
Yeah. So she had started meeting with a trust attorney apparently back in 2006.
Wow.
So she had, a draft, and she, in August, shared it with me. And that's when I attended my first meeting with the attorney and herself. So I did, as she brought me in, because she just didn't bring me in before. And I did actually before that, earlier in the year, as you know, she was providing financial support for my older brother. And so I wanted to try to take that off of her plate. So one of my visits, I had myself, we went to her bank and I got added to her account
Good.
because I was like, also, you want to make sure that you're paying, bills need to be paid. But she had already moved a number of things to automatic bill pay.
Mhm.
So that was happening, regardless of whether or not she was able to write a check. There were a few things that she's still writing checks for. Uh, I just wanted to try to help take anything off of her plate that I could
Which was
take off
not
of her plate.
easy.
And,
Which was not easy,
managing.
by the way.
No.
No, no, no. That
She
that
apparently
lady,
wouldn't even let people change her bed sheets,
yeah, yeah,
and I would just tell when she got up to go to the bathroom, I would say, I'm changing your sheets now.
right.
So, little things like that, hearing from other people made me aware in a way I wasn't before, that there were things that she would allow me to do that she wouldn't allow other people to do.
Exactly, exactly.
And some of the caregivers would say that when I came to visit, they could see a positive change in her,
Mhm.
demeanor and in her health. So I was really pleased that I, was bringing something positive to her. And I'm really grateful that I had the ability to come and see her every other week between August and October. Um, you know, my mom was someone who wanted to do what she wanted to do. There were people who felt it was time for an intervention. You got to get
Right,
her out of her house.
right.
Like, she doesn't want to leave her
She
house.
did
And
not.
I thought it was really important to honor her wishes and to, keep people who wanted to transgress those wishes either away from her or
Yeah,
just stop them. Like, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. Okay. It, we're not going to do that. So if she wants to stay here until she dies, I said she can afford to stay here until she dies.
exactly.
If she needs 24-hour care, she can afford 24-hour
Yes,
care. She's
yes.
not going anywhere. So we can stop this conversation. So I guess, I was there to, stop some activity, to facilitate other activity, and just to brighten her day when I could by being there.
I love that. We talked about the fact that Cora was such a busy person and just had so many, projects that were near and dear to her heart. Do you think maybe some of the earlier trauma that she experienced manifested itself, in different ways. I mean, to just become
Yeah.
unwell or diseased, if you
I
will.
do think that, like trapped emotions cause dis-ease
That,
in the body,
yeah.
right? That's that energy that you're not letting out and it's impacting you at a cellular level. And so, I was having an exchange with someone about her diagnosis, and their reaction was, "Oh, that's the throat chakra. That's communication." I was like, "Oh, well, there you have
Oh,
it." I was like, she
wow.
does not emote.
Hmm.
I saw my mother cry one time, and that was when her younger sister died. I
Mm.
heard her voice crack one time, and that's when she was telling me about a letter that Cassia, to her last year to encourage, mom. That is two times in 55 years that I saw some level of emotion that was around either sorrow or just being touched. But I did not find her to be cold.
Right, right.
We greeted each other with a kiss on
Exactly,
each cheek
exactly.
and
Yeah.
hugs, and she was very warm. I just loved and adored my mom, and had a very positive relationship with her, and I felt 100% loved.
Oh.
100%.
And you were. She was so proud of you, first of all. And something that you, as her daughter, may have not had the opportunity to see or hear, because sometimes parents just, kind of don't want to like blow you up too much. You still got to get out there and do the work. She admired you, Elisa. She admired
Just
your accomplishments. She admired the kind of mom that you were. And I was able to be privy to those conversations, and I'm just so
thank
grateful
you.
to
That's
be able.
just amazing to me because
Oh
she
my
was
God.
so amazing.
Oh my God. And think about her legacy with her grandkids who
Mhm.
got a chance to spend. This lady this lady actually had her whole house upstairs, like a whole part of her house rearranged so that she had the week with her grandkids every summer, at least the week in her house. And if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken, the summer like beach week, right?
Yeah, so there was 2 weeks, cousins week first at her house, and then she packed them all up. And in the early years, you had to be four to go to cousins
Yeah,
week. So
yeah.
she was taking these two little kids on the plane by herself. She would have them sleep in their clothes that they were going to wear the next day. And they usually had early morning flights because it's always a connection to get to Hilton Head from Arkansas. And yeah, she did that for them and gave them the opportunity to spend time with each other and to build relationship with her.
After losing both your parents this year, and we've talked about relationships that we both have worked through as well.
Mhm.
I know for me, one of the things was losing my parents. My mom was sick for a while, so I kind of had a chance to let my brain process that, and I just focused on keeping her comfortable. My dad had a heart attack and just passed away. I'd spoken with him a few hours earlier, and I remember being grateful that the last thing we said to each other is "I love you," and I still am amazed by that. But we were super, super close. And one of the things that we loved together was football. Dad and I, no matter where I lived, we'd be on the phone, literally holding the phone, watching
Mhm.
the game. Some of the highlights over the years was the first African American coach to win, the first African
Mhm.
American quarterback to win.
Quarterback.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So these are things that culturally and historically we bonded over. And it
Mhm.
probably took me 10 years before I got back to really, really loving football like I used to.
Mhm.
And I think part of the lesson with that process was the healing process is on a continuum. It's,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
this is, I saw healing 6 months after my dad's death. Then I see healing 10 years after as well.
Hmm.
And now that I mean, it's pretty recent for you. As
Yeah.
the days have gone by, what are the things that buoy you?
Um, Again, like I said, I know I was completely loved.
Yeah.
There was nothing, undone. Um,
And therefore,
I
you have no
was
regrets, no regrets at all.
exactly. I
Yeah.
don't have any regrets. And I'll say with my father, I had gone to see him the summer before he passed, and then I was supposed to go that December, and I think I maybe had to travel for work, and things were just kind of hectic, and it was also really costly. It's
Mm-hmm.
very, very costly to visit him. Just the airfare was high. There was no space for me to stay with anyone. So
Right.
I was going to have to get a hotel. But, at the end of the day, too, can the cost be too high to visit your parent? And I did ask myself, how will I feel if he passes before I get back there? I had that conversation with myself. And, you know, visiting him because he was suffering from dementia. So, visiting him was not the same as visiting my mother. Now,
Right. Of
yes, he
course.
he still knew who I was. He still recognized me, but the interaction was not really high quality,
Right. Of
right?
course.
Um, so I'm glad that I got out there to see him. Do I wish I had gotten out one more time? I do. I
Mm-hmm.
do. Do I beat myself up about it? I do not.
Yeah.
So I think I'm someone who's very pragmatic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very practical, and I have my faith again. I will say that. So, feeling like I've done either everything I could or almost everything I could does give me comfort, right? And I don't, I'm not mourning every day. Probably the week before last was a pretty weepy week. Like
Yeah.
every morning,
Yeah.
I was crying. And to be honest, I really felt like I needed a hug. I just needed a hug. I needed to be held.
Yeah.
And so I asked for that,
There you
you
go.
know.
I love that. I
I
love
asked for
that.
that. So I do think it's important for us to ask for what we need.
Yeah.
And it's not something that, I feel as a parent, it's really important to not put your emotions on your children or to make them responsible for your emotions, right?
That is so
So,
smart. Absolutely.
yeah. So no, I wasn't asking my kids for a hug. Um, but I made it happen.
There you go. There you go. You know, um, I know that at the end of your dad's life, things were a little bit different.
Hmm.
And your mom obviously was lucid and talking throughout the entire time.
Yeah.
One of the things I've had to come to realize, even, with other family members, especially those that you're there, and then you happen to walk away for an hour and you get the call.
Yeah.
Well, they passed away. And my thing is, I had to understand that even that part of life is personal. You know,
Yeah.
at some point they choose, now is the time. I'm gonna let go
Yeah.
because once your body and brain get together, and I think that there's a place where you don't want somebody, you may not be that person that wants somebody to watch your final seconds, right? And
Mhm.
so just growing and loving them through that, and also this is the big one, loving ourselves through it, right?
Yeah.
Just like you
Yeah.
said, when you recognize something is missing, I'm super weepy, what do I need? People
Hmm.
don't always know. They can't read your mind. And I find sometimes I don't want to disturb the person because if they're at a point and don't really want to talk,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll do a lot of texting. And then if I see, you know what, the response is coming back, I'll go ahead
Hmm.
and pick up the phone and call because it's after the funeral that things really get quiet and you recognize this is the new normal now.
Yeah. And I think part of the what I take from this part of the discussion is that we don't talk enough about grief, right? So we
Yeah.
don't know how to interact with people who are going through a loss. I have a good college friend who has lost both of her siblings,
Hmm.
and she is the middle, just like me. Actually, no, she was the youngest. She was the youngest, so she
Okay.
lost her two older brothers. But just like me, just two girls and a boy. And she has been someone who's reached out to me frequently because she is familiar
Yes.
with grief. I just got a handwritten note from her,
Hmm.
saying that she's extending her condolences again, and talking about how difficult this time of year is, and acknowledging that. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate that. And I have another close friend from the same girlfriend group. She lost her partner after a bout with cancer. It was really fast too. And he forbade her to tell anybody. So she carried this
Oh my
by herself.
God.
And, you know,
Oh, that's heavy.
it's heavy, but it also gave him what he wanted, which
Exactly.
was the end of his life
So
for people
personal.
to interact with him as the
Yep.
person they knew him to be, not the
Exactly.
cancer patient,
Exactly. Exactly.
right?
I
He
get that.
because he had he had really missed his window for a diagnosis that was going to have effective treatment, right? So
Right.
it was pretty clear very early on he only had months to live. So again, I just say that we don't talk enough about grief. And it is really difficult to, you don't really understand until you go through it,
Yeah.
some of
Yeah.
these types of losses. Yeah, you've lost a job, you've lost a friend or whatever, but to lose a dear loved one, to experience the shift from having that invisible safety net in the world
Yep.
to
Yep.
not having it
When you lose both your parents,
is gone.
oh my God, it's like the last two people who are required to care about
Right.
you, you know?
And
Yeah.
one of them didn't do it half the time. Didn't, I mean, he cared, but he didn't
Yeah,
do what he
you
was
too.
supposed to half the time. So yeah, when they're gone, and my mother was just, amazing
The
at, like,
best
my last,
ever.
I just
Yep.
my two cars that I bought, she was like, she financed them for me. She
Right.
just offered. I didn't ask her.
Yeah.
She offered.
Yeah.
Um,
Something she
and I was
wanted
like, look,
to see you have and enjoy.
yeah, yeah. And so I'm like, I didn't have to pay, real interest. I paid her some interest,
Right. Right.
but I didn't have to pay, just things like that. Just knowing someone has your back in every sense of the word,
Yeah.
every sense in ways that you can anticipate, in ways you don't anticipate. And then when that is gone, you're just in a different place, right? And then you also appreciate what they went through, because everybody has walked this path.
That's
And I
right.
think in particular about my mom, she had to live with that realization from a very early age,
Absolutely,
from
Elisa, her parents.
college.
Yeah.
She lost her parents when she was in college. So, you know that's just a different life. I didn't live that life.
And so our faith helps us to recognize, you know, everybody is it's fair. It's a,
Yeah.
it may happen to you later in life. I remember I was talking to another friend the other day and I told her a conversation I had with my dad and mom when I was maybe in my 30s. And they were
Hmm.
saying, we have just been so blessed. We have to be a blessing to others. We have been so
Yes.
blessed. We have to be a blessing to others. And by that, they were explaining how long it had been since we had suffered real loss.
Hmm.
And baby, when the loss bucket turned over, it just did not
Yeah.
stop. This
Yeah.
year, in fact, like I said, it has been one of those years you almost can't recover until the next one, right? But I think
Yeah.
I do feel as a person who is empathetic,
Hmm.
I can put my own grief aside. I'm going to deal with it. I'm not pushing it
Hmm.
down, but
Hmm.
I can put
Hmm.
it aside to triage, you know?
Yeah.
And when I see other loved ones, that was your mom. She was my dear, dear cousin and mentor. But I want you to know your family is here for you. We absolutely love and adore you, Elisa. You are such a kind hearted person. And one of the reasons for that is because of your mom. And
Yeah.
that was the person that you got a chance to experience doing it. So again, and I want to just kind of bring this back to full circle. When Cora passed away, the thing that really, what God said to me is, Negro, pull up.
Yes.
You think you balling, you think you got it going
Right.
on, you can do more. If
Right.
it's in your heart to do more and you feel that it is, and I do, I'm raising my hand, you got to
Hmm.
pull up. I looked at a church full of people who were there because on some level she raised all of us. She
Yeah.
really did.
She, yeah. I mean, honestly, I do say to myself, she's not here. There has to be a reason why she's not here, right? And so there must be something for me to do. And there are things that I couldn't do until she wasn't here because one, she gave me resources.
Right.
Two, she left a vacuum, right? So there's a space, there's a void for
Yep.
me to fill.
Yep.
And to, in my own way, I don't feel burdened to be my
Oh, I
mother,
know. I know.
um, but I feel honored to continue her legacy. Right? I feel honored to have the opportunity to continue to give to the world in the way that she demonstrated, in the way that she taught, the way that she modeled.
Yes.
And I feel really good about what I'm beginning to see in some of my own children, in particular, her namesake, and how she is operating in this world. And, I would often say, like, ugh, if my mom wasn't my mom, I don't know that I would be where I am. I don't know that I have the same level of, you know, desire is not the word, but ambition
Yeah. Yeah.
that my mother had, right?
Right.
But
Right.
I mean, I am
Who
pretty
does,
ambitious,
girl?
but
Who
but
does?
she was kind of on another level. And like, where would I be? Like, I would not have gone to my undergrad. She said, apply to this school. I was like, sure.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like, it's your money, and I
Yeah.
don't even have
Yeah.
to type this application. Sure. I said, if I get in, I'll go because I
Okay.
didn't think I was gonna, get in. So all that to say, there's something for me to do. There's
Yeah.
something that she started that I now have the honor and privilege to continue in some way. Obviously, it'll be in my own way, but certainly going down the same path that she trod and that she, you know, um, walked and made for me.
One of the last things, I was always hearing things that she had done that was the first, or special in our family. And when I was in Arkansas the last time with her, we
Mm.
did a television show, came
Mm.
to her house and recorded
Yeah, yeah,
Black
yeah,
History,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And this sister starts talking about being at the March on Washington, girl. I was like, I'm out. How is that even possible? Well, she was in
Yeah.
school in DC, she went to
Yeah.
Howard, and
Mhm.
she's
As one does. So she was there.
she's kind of Forrest Gump in her way, just happens to
Right.
be at the right place at
Yeah.
the right time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Elisa, thank you so, so much for joining me today. I'm absolutely honored. I'm glad we had this conversation. It's helped
Oh
me,
my.
and I really, really hope that it helps others. So I want to say cheers to you. Thank you
Oh, thank
for
you, Marsha.
thank you for taking up the mantle for such an amazing human being as your mom. And, I just want you to know how proud I am of you. I know that
Thank you.
it's got to be difficult, especially while it's also fresh. But she
Yeah.
knew who you were, baby girl. She knew
Yeah.
who you
Well,
were. I
thank you.
love you. Cheers.
Thank you. I love you too. Cheers.
Thanks everyone for watching. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel so that we can continue to bring you amazing content. See you next time. As an added bonus, when you go to the website or social media of Iconic Creations, please put Rancher in the comments for 10% off.